I feel like if Amber's gone, then we might get back that fire and passion that Caleb had at the beginning of this season.
I don't know what I would want more, though.
But I just need Amber to go because she's not doing anything for me anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to see Caleb in the game without Amber.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, for me, it's kind of like, will we have a Gina Marie moment from Caleb whenever, like, you know, just that obsessed person whenever Nick left, Gina Marie was just like, I'm going to wear his hat. And then Caleb's going to, like, I don't know, wear Amber's high heels and wear her lipstick, just, like, missing everything about her. So, I don't know. I think I want Caleb gone because at least Amber's in the game. In my opinion, I think Amber's head is in the game way more than Caleb's, so I prefer her to stay. I'm still very iffy about it. I mean, either one could go.
Someone needs to go.
Someone needs to go.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about it later, especially Wednesday, Thursday, if the veto gets used and if Amber finds herself on the block. Another big thing I wanted to talk about was the Team America mission. So they had to try and get a heated argument for at least 20 seconds between two people to happen either during the nomination ceremony or the veto ceremony. I feel like I love their approach to this mission because I think that Zach is God's gift to Team America. I was just going to say that Christine and Nicole weren't going to get into that argument, I think they were just going to nod and, you know, thank you very much. See you later. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I think in the beginning of the season, I was talking about how I was afraid of this type of thing about Team America because I don't want it to affect the game, and that's exactly what it's trying to do, which I guess is neither here nor there, so I have to let that go. But when they were talking about, oh yeah, we'll have to talk to Zach and make Zach do it, I was like, no, you aren't thinking correctly. What you're supposed to do is get somebody to call out Zach, and that's how you start the fight. No one else is going to, like you said, they're not going to go and fight back because they know how the game works. Zach, on the other hand, if you were to have someone call Zach out, Zach is gonna fight. He's gonna bite back, and it's gonna be a mess. They didn't think about it clearly, which I thought was very surprising when they were talking about it. I was like, I thought y'all were smart. Like y'all aren't thinking about this correctly.
Well, they always have the veto meeting, so if they do have a back door and do that to Zach, they could very well accomplish their mission there.
But yeah, they need to get somebody to call out Zach. That's what they're supposed to do.
I mean, none of the girls are going to do anything. That's why they just sit down, get nominated, nod, and deal with it by themselves. And that's why... so frustrating this season.
It's why I wish sometimes, I'm like, there's certain players, like a Frankie and a Derek, where I'm like, ooh, you were so lucky. You were blessed by the BB gods, because had you been in this house with some of the other players from other seasons, they would have given you something to think about, because these people just they're just not doing it. Like, I would love to go into the Big Brother house and have it be filled with people who had no idea how to play this game. Like, how lucky could you be? Like, the easiest $500,000 you could get in your whole life.
Yeah.
You start working on your business plan inside the Big Brother house.
Like, let me just figure out where I'm going to put all this money. For the next 3 months, I'm just going to figure out where I'm putting all this money. Who I'm giving my mom some, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. Like, that's all the time in the world I need.
Also got to give it to some charity, you know? You just got to...
Some charity.
Do we think we're going to finally see our first failed Team America mission this week?
I don't. I feel like with Frankie still as HOH, there is ample opportunity to... Because you're either going to piss off the house by nominating Amber or piss off Zach by nominating him. So you can have a reaction somehow, and if you phrase it in a way in his speech, if he has to make a replacement nom, it can very well happen.
I don't know if they're considered people that can fight, though.
Really?
I feel like they aren't allowed to. I mean, we don't know. I don't know that for sure.
I think that it's gonna. I don't know. I would say it's gonna fail because, yeah.
I think it's gonna fail too, because I don't think they can do it.
Gotcha.
I think their best option would be in order to complete the mission, would be to backdoor Zach. But I think that's a poor move on Frankie, especially because I think you're getting $5,000 for making a potentially game for hurting your game, I think, because Zach isn't going for Frankie, and to eliminate an ally like that for $5,000, I think is pretty ridiculous. Plus, if I'm Frankie, I want to make sure I've got Zach on the jury, if not sitting next to me. Yeah. I think that's a guaranteed vote for Frankie.
Also, someone who just watches the episodes and not the feeds, for me, it came out of left field that Zach was like really wanting to get rid of Amber. Like, I had no idea that hostility was there at all.
Yeah, I thought that it's just how anti-Caleb they were, especially Zach, and then now he's anti-Amber. It's just kind of, I don't know. I think it's just a great example of how flip-floppy Zach really is. I think Zach is more like Devin than he'd care to admit.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other big things you guys want to talk about before we go into our segments?
So, in the Battle of the Block competition, Big Brother Cody had the audacity to go inside his DR and say, "Oh, so there's a wedding-themed Battle of the Block, and my question is, where the bridesmaids at?" Bitch, when you create an all-male alliance, you're evicting every single one of your bridesmaids, so don't ask stupid questions, Cody.
But, I mean, it was just an irrelevant comment. Like, they just needed somebody to have a comment about the competition. And I know they had some better ones, but they gave it to Cody. Whatever.
And I will not stand for this. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything, and I am not going to stand for this.
There you go. And on that note, I think it's time for some What You Gonna Do, Girl? What You Gonna Do?
What you gonna do, girl?
See the black girl from out you.
And you know, I thought I gave Zach some pretty good advice last week, and I just think he threw it in the trash. So you know what? I'm done with you, Zach, and I'm going to put my attention to a player that I'm rooting for in this game, and I want to see do well. So Christine, this is what I think you got to do. Right now, in my opinion, I don't know how you're feeling, but it's definitely coming across to the viewers that you are putting a little too much faith in your Detonators alliance. And I think that you being put up by Zach is a huge red flag to your relationship with these people. I think at this point you need to recognize that Derek is a really good player and that he does have influence on certain people in this game. Zach is a loose cannon. No one will deny that. But you have to think that he is able to be controlled by certain people, especially with the people that he's close to with Frankie and Derek. So I think the fact that you are on the block by being nominated by someone in your alliance needs to wake your ass up. I think that you really need to be focusing on the other relationships you have with the people outside the Detonators, because guess what, sweetie? You are not going to win this game by riding their coattails all the way to the end. Of course, that is a great strategy for the early game, but we are starting to approach the very pivotal points of Big Brother, and you got to start building your resume for that final two speech at the end of the game. So I think you really need to think about what your relationship with Nicole is going to be. Because if you trust her as much as you say you do, then you need to include her in. By constantly keeping her in the dark, you are going to cause so much distress with her that when the time comes for Derek or Frankie to decide that they don't need you anymore, it's going to be easier for them to get the votes to send you out the door. So you really need to lock in these key relationships with people outside the alliance that you're in. This is how you're going to be able to make power moves, take out the big players, and overall come up with a case for yourself in the end. Now, I think that is a little bit long term. We got to be thinking more of a week-to-week basis. So congratulations on being safe, but the game is not in there. Not for this week. I think your best bet is doing damage control with Zach. I know that you're pissed. I know that you're angry, but you need to make him feel comfortable. Do not, if you let him know how angry and pissed off you are, that's only going to increase the target on your back. And that's not the game you're playing, Christine. It hasn't been the game you've been playing so far. It doesn't need to be the game that you're playing right now. You need to just put some lipstick on, kiss a few asses if that's what you got to do. Make him feel comfortable. That way, when the time comes to strike, you will be able to strike. And that, Christine, is what you got to do.
All right, so it's time for your daughter and your mama, your daughter, your mama.
And your daughter and your mother are too. Your daughter and your mother. Your daughter and your mother.
And I'm going after Zach because he's already been attacked. I don't know where to begin. There's just so much hot messery that's been going on. And the thing is, I feel like I've been with Zach, like I kind of was with Cody, where I like your personality, but your gameplay is just, it's hurting me, because I want to see you go far, because I like you as a person, but your game is kind of saying that you don't care to be here. I mean, first of all, and I don't know if anybody's even heard or saw this or heard about it, but Zach has had a conversation with Frankie about how Zach is totally fine with just hitting jury and just being able to vote for Frankie to win, just wants Frankie to win and stuff. And, normally that would get me all types of, ooh, send him home, Julie, send him home now. But I know that Zach is a loose cannon. He just says what he thinks at one moment in time. And I know he doesn't want to, just hit jury. I know he wants to win. But it's another thing where I'm just like, you don't think before you speak, and it just kills me. His whole HOH reign, he needed to have the HOH power, which you really don't need, Zach. You're already a loudmouth. You're already a target in that little realm right there. You don't need HOH. Yeah, you kept it out of some of the other house guests' hands and obtained it for Detonators Alliance. That's all you needed to do. All you needed to do was put up 2 people that it didn't even matter, and you can get Brittany out through Frankie. Let Frankie get blood on his hands, because he's really good at trying to wipe his hands clean while stabbing people. I just wish that you would calm down. And I feel like I've told him this before. It's not like a sprint. It's a marathon. And you need to take it slow. And he's just going 100 miles a minute, and it's going to kill his game. And I wish someone would be in there that was actually a true friend to him and be like, dude, I actually care about you, and I want you to, I don't want you to win, because I don't want to win, but I want you to do as well as possible, and the way that you act right now, it's not good. Save your spastic moments for when you're by yourself. Earlier in the game, when he went off about Victoria to the camera, that was okay. That was entertaining because it wasn't attacking anybody. He was talking to the camera, and it didn't really affect how anyone perceived him. And that's what I thought he would do more, is just keep his anger and throw it out to America on my feet and stuff. But he hasn't been doing that. And it's like we said earlier, I just need him to not react so harsh to just any event, like winning HOH, jumping up and down everybody. I'm just like, you do know there are other people that are watching y'all do this, and even if they can't win HOH, some of these people are making it on jury. So you have to remember that every single thing you do in this house, people are watching, and it's going to affect something down the road, good or bad. Just like the way he was reacting during the Battle of the Block, jumping up and down. Like, I wasn't watching Jocasta and Victoria stack their cake. I was watching Zach in the top left-hand corner, jumping up and down, freaking out, hoping that they wouldn't fall. And, of course, Victoria's going to fall because, she's such a pro and all. But I just think that he doesn't really think about how his words or how his actions are going to affect him. And they affect him negatively a lot, especially this week. Like, the House is very pissed off with what he said at the nomination ceremony, and it just sucks because these people don't care for him, and they egged him on to say things like that. And it's like, dude, you know why no one said anything back? You know why Christine and Nicole didn't say anything? It's because they're not dumb enough to screw up with their game to have a fight with you. What is that fight going to do? Nothing, because they came off the block and they're still here. They're still here next week. So Zach, I just need you to think before you react or speak, and not be so spastic. And maybe also you need to drop Frankie, because he's not about your life. But yeah, I hope you do well, though.
Amen. Freaking man. I feel like Zach is just playing. He's just. Frankie has such a hold on him. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Sad.
I want the Zach that pulled Cody aside and calmed him down. That's the Zach that I want to see.
Go to the past, Zach. We went to the past, Jacosta.
So, oh my god, HOH-itis, and he's not even HOH anymore.
Where you at, Devin? All right, so I guess it's time. I have a selection today, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry, but it's time to serve up some cake.
Anybody want cake?
And yeah, like I said, I had many awkward moments to choose from, but I refuse to address any of them. So instead, I'm going to talk about, and for me it's awkward, the gender dynamics of the Big Brother house. And I have to be very careful with what I say as a man, you know, because I'm going to go in on the girls as well as the guys. No one's safe. I just find it extremely frustrating that it's basically like a battle of the sexes this season. None of the girls are safe. Every single time, Frankie's HOH. Let's just throw that out there. As well as whoever he's paired with, because, you know, he's with another guy as co-HOHs. Along with this season's twist, it didn't really work in the girls' favor either. Like, they wanted to nominate, quote-unquote, weak competitors, and this season it just so happens that perhaps the women are physically weaker competitors than the guys. So they just kept on using women as the people to be nominated consistently. And I just find it so cowardice from the guys' perspective to constantly go after these girls. Granted, we're all in this house to, you know, win $500,000. But for me, it's just very ignorant for them to just create like a fraternity of just guys and just evicting the women one by one. And then Cody's left confused, wondering where all his bridesmaids are. So, I don't know. I really, really dislike this whole Battle of the Sexes theme. And even going back to cast assessment, like, maybe my expectations were really high for the girls that came in the house. But, like, on a strategic level, on a competitive level, on a social level, I'm really not impressed with most of the girls inside this house. And it saddens me. Like, Joey, Pow Pow, and Brittany. Those are the first three women that got evicted from this season. And they're three people that have no problem speaking their mind. You know, like Joey ran around dressing up like a man and saying some truth juice. Pow Pow, she's from New York, and she has no problem with confrontation, even if she sounds weird doing it. And then Brittany, you know, she's just very matter-of-fact mother, 29 years old, and can address a conflict, whether it's with Victoria or not, in general. So, like, now that the women who, like, I guess had a voice in the house are evicted from the game, it's kind of like, okay, like, what are you going to do? You're going to have your Ambers who gets no words in edgewise. You have Christine who tries to say something, but it doesn't really mean anything in the long run because she's still going to be nominated on the block. And so this season's just very, very frustrating for me to watch just because there is that split division between men and women. I wish there was more, you know, like even the Hayden and Nicole, like I appreciate that. You know, you're working together, but Hayden has absolutely zero airtime for me to even comment on his game. So it's just basically all I see is this fraternity versus a sorority, and the sorority is just getting picked off, and the sorority hates each other too. So, like, what am I left with? I'm going to be basically seeing maybe a Christine at the end with like season 12. That's basically what I'm seeing right now. I see a bunch of guys and maybe a Brittany Haynes that can last until Final Four, and that's it. So that for me is really, really awkward, and it's actually inspiring me to go inside the house whenever I do and be the person to create an all-girl alliance. Like, I will go in and create an alliance. I'll say, you all need to work together. Evict me. Like, go after me. I'm also gonna go after all of the guys. Like, we have 9 people to their 7. Let's do it. Girl power. Like, we can do this. But honestly, it's just completely infuriating for me to watch and just see this gender divide. And it's, I don't know, for me, like on a media standpoint, it's having a portrayal that women are weak. And from, I don't know, just the mentality of the people that they casted this season. And for them to just do another, boring ass Borgade thing, it's just like, I've seen it before. This is the easy way. Make it interesting or make it fair. I don't know. I can't. I'm just very, very disappointed that this is kind of the result we're getting. On another note, on top of that, with the Battle of the Block twist, it kind of made it so that literally if you wanted to go after a threat, that the back door is literally the only door. I'm going to take that quote from Devin. So if you want to go after physical threats, you can't. You literally have to nominate the floaters. And so I do understand that the majority of the floaters this season are women. I mean, they were approached with an all-girl alliance and they turned it down. Jocasta was like, what you talking about, Joe? You just can't create an all-girl alliance? Nominated next 3 weeks. Yeah, like, this twist just didn't play into the girls' favor. And so my hope is that the Battle of the Blocks twist will be over soon. Like it can't go on for another week. Like, this has to be the last week. And I'm ready to see some, like, blurred lines. I want it to get messy. I want there to be mixed signals of who's aligned with who, and then my, I guess, distaste for what's going on inside the house will go away. Because right now I'm just really not feeling it. I'm not digging it. I'm not really a fan of the gender dynamics.
I just think that right now that I think we're due for a power shift.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now in the house there's a core alliance, and then everyone else are just fragments or remnants of the alliance of other alliances that the core alliance was already a part of. So I don't know. I feel like I would put Derek back up in the power rankings now over Christine, just because I think Christine's game got a little blown up this week. I don't think it was fatal, but I think it kind of hurt her game a little bit. And whereas I think Derek with Zach and Frankie, I think this is the best opportunity for Derek to kind of chill back. And the fact that he didn't give that much airtime besides Hitman, I think, and Team America, I think is a sign that he's sliding back into the puppet master role.
I mean, he knew it whenever he threw the competition to Frankie. I mean, he knew that he was solid that week,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. But yeah, I'm ready for things to get shaken up.
And the only person that can do that is Christine. But literally, even if she wanted to do a power shift, look at who she has. Like, how can you do a power shift with Victoria and Jocasta? Like,
she can't.
You can't.
She needs Nicole, and if she doesn't have Nicole, I don't know this for sure, but I would say that if Christine doesn't have Nicole, then she doesn't have Hayden. And those are two key players that she's going to need if she's going to try and dethrone Derek and Cody and Frankie and Zach.
But even then, Derek and Cody aren't going to be their focus. Their focus is going to be Zach. Their focus is going to be Frankie. So
and if that's what happens and if that's what their plan is, then I would say that's a mistake and that's a fault on Christine's game awareness, because
I don't think it's completely a mistake, because if she were to go after Derek, then everybody in that alliance is coming after Christine. I feel like if she goes after Zach and maybe Frankie, I don't think Derek and Cody are gonna, they're worried about each other. If both of them are safe, they're like, oh, we don't want you to go, Zach or Frankie, but they're not gonna, jump out in front of a car to try to stop Christine. I mean, it's one thing that they don't have to do themselves to get blood on their hands, because they're gonna have to do it sometime.
That's a great point. And especially now, she has a reason to go after him. And I think the best way to take out a player like Derek is you can't take a big swing at him. I think you just have to try and weaken him. Yeah. And in order to weaken him, you got to take out the Zachs and the Codys and then make a big play at that point.
I mean, my word for Derek right now is just savvy. He's just very socially savvy. He's strategically savvy, and he's competitively savvy. I feel like he does an excellent job to make sure that the heat is not on him and is on someone else, and that he encourages people to, like, he's very good at deflecting, you know, and I don't know. I think that Derek is just masterfully at work, and he's easily in the final six, like, easily.
He didn't come here to tan all summer, basically.
Yeah, basically. All right. Well, I'm excited to see. Actually, not really. I'm not very excited. I think Amber's in a really bad spot, and I think that she will. If that's what Frankie wants to do, I think that's what. I think Amber's going home. I think it'll be pretty easy to pull off a backdoor. And
I just want to hear his veto speech.
Yeah, at this point, that's really all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a veto blowout. And I'm hoping for the end of the twist after Thursday. And that's, or a double eviction. Let's get a double eviction up in here.
We do need the end of the twist, and we need that power shift, that one HOH shift, and, they would be freaking out.
Although, I'll be pretty disappointed if we do a double eviction and we end up... I feel like there's a good chance that the casualty for a double eviction at this point is most likely going to be a Victoria or a Jacobs. That would really blow, but fingers crossed. But anyway, make sure that you watch Wednesday's veto episode and Thursday's eviction, and then catch the BB Basics breakdown of the veto and eviction episodes. Also, make sure you get on Twitter during each episode, because we will be live tweeting. So you want to make sure that you catch the fun on that. Do we have any questions for any of the viewers? Any thoughts? If there was a double eviction this Thursday or in the next week, who do we think is the most vulnerable?
Oh, Donnie.
Dude, I don't know, man. I think Donnie's best bet is being in Team America with Derek, because I legitimately think that Derek is afraid to evict Donnie. I think he's afraid of the repercussions.
You know what? That is so true. Like, actually, Team America was a huge blessing for Donnie. It really was.
I agree with that.
Both Frankie and Derek are kind of looking out for Donnie now, thanks to it.
Ooh, you touch me and you were done. Your game is done.
Okay.
Y'all see the back of this quarter? What's this animal, y'all?
Well, I'll be interested to see what happens. One thing for sure, though, is you gotta stay basic.
Stay basic.
Just stay basic, everybody.
Like the basic people in the Big Brother house.
The basic,
oh,
basic slap me.
Was robbed.
Slap me and watch.